All right, and we are back here on the GSMC football podcast. And for the second part of the show, we are going to talk about the Bengals franchise tagging wide receiver Tee Higgins. So they placed the franchise tag on him. If a long-term agreement is not reached by July 15th, he'll play under a one-year deal worth $21.816 million. That's the league-wide franchise tag among wide receivers for 2024. Deadline for teams to use the franchise tag or transition tag is March 5th. Higgins, a second round draft pick in 2020, was set to become a free agent after his rookie contract expired. In his first 4 seasons with the Bengals, he has recorded 257 receptions for 3,684 receiving yards and 24 touchdowns, with 31 receptions for 457 yards and 3 touchdowns in 7 postseason games. This marks the second consecutive offseason where Higgins' long-term future with the Bengals was talked about. But yeah, so we'll see if they end up getting the deal done, long-term deal done. In 2023, he played in only 12 games, totaled 42 receptions, 656 receiving yards, and 5 touchdowns. And obviously, another receiver that's going to be looking to get paid is their top wide receiver, and that is Ja'Marr Chase. So that's something else that the Bengals are going to have to deal with at some point. But this, I think this was very important for the Bengals to do, because also the other thing is they're going to be losing Tyler Boyd most likely in free agency. He was a long-time receiver there. And, you got to keep – you're not going to be able to keep everybody. So I think, and Tee Higgins, I think we could all say is a better receiver than Tyler Boyd is. So obviously you want to keep him around. If you're gonna lose one of them, Boyd's probably the one you're gonna end up losing. So this is important. But then the other thing too is Ja'Marr Chase. I mean, Ja'Marr Chase is gonna want to get paid as well. And I think also, and I was thinking about this too. I think we all tend to forget that, well, I don't think all of us, but maybe a lot of people tend to forget that, Tee Higgins was here before Ja'Marr Chase. I mean, he was basically Joe Burrow's top target, Burrow's rookie season. And, then obviously the year after that, and obviously Burrow got hurt his rookie season, but then the year after that, Chase gets drafted, and, they reunite, pair of LSU teammates. But actually also didn't, Tee Higgins also went to LSU, right? Let me just double check on that. But yeah, I mean, like you kind of just forget that he was, he was there, Burrow's rookie season. Oh yeah, never mind. He went to Clemson. I lied. So yeah, won the 2019 college football playoff national championship as a sophomore and was selected by the Bengals with the first pick. And I don't know why I thought he went to, LSU, but yeah, so he went to Clemson. Yeah, see, I'm not great when it comes to, like, if you were to ask me where some players went to college, I probably couldn't tell you. Obviously there's some that I do know, but there's a lot of them where I'm like, yeah, I couldn't tell you. But yeah, so he went to Clemson. My mistake. I don't know why I thought he went to LSU, but I mean, that LSU team was insane. I mean, you had Burrow, Chase, Justin Jefferson. I mean, that's unbelievable that they were all together. But yeah, I mean, this is going to be important. And if the Bengals are healthy next season, I mean, they're going to be one of the top teams in the AFC. A healthy Burrow, because when Burrow was healthy, I mean, this team was rolling, and it looked, and it's funny because they were still like in last place, but eventually, the Steelers fell off. The Browns, the Browns are still winning games. Obviously, once Flacco took over, and Flacco played well towards the end. But I mean, I think a healthy Burrow, they definitely would have made the playoffs, and who knows what would ended up happening. Could they have been the team that knocked off the Chiefs? Again, it's hypothetical. Who knows? But with the healthy Joe Burrow, you saw what this team could do. And, bringing back Tee Higgins, hopefully they work out a long-term deal. And then you got to figure out, a long-term deal with Ja'Marr Chase. You paid Joe Burrow. So now it's really just you got to make sure you keep those guys together. The running game is going to be interesting because they weren't a great running team. I mean, Joe Mixon was okay, but obviously he's not the same player he once was when they first drafted him. You saw, Chase Brown, their rookie running back. He kind of made a few plays towards the end of the year, so I think he'll be a factor in the running game. We'll see if they, try to add to the position. Maybe draft another running back. But we'll see. But I mean, listen, the most important thing, they just got to make sure that Joe Burrow is healthy, because Burrow had a, kind of an injury-plagued season. Dealt with the calf for most of the year. Then once he got healthy, that game against the Cardinals, it looked like the Burrow was finally getting healthier, and they beat the 49ers by a couple of scores on the road. So, they looked like they were going on a run, and then that just kind of got cut short. He had that mysterious, the whole thing with them not putting him on the injury report, and then he ends up getting, the wrist injury in the game against the Ravens, and then that pretty much ended his season. And I mean, listen, Jake Browning played well at points during his time starting for them, but they still ended up finishing with a winning record. It's just they fell a little bit short of making the playoffs. I mean, even if they did, they probably weren't going to go far. But it's just with Burrow, they definitely could have made a deep playoff run. But we'll see what happens next year. This is definitely the right thing that they did here. Can't lose Tee Higgins, because if he hits the open market, I mean, somebody's going to pay him a lot of money, because there's teams that need wide receivers. I mean, the Giants. I always bring up the Giants anytime we talk about receivers, because they're one of those teams that desperately needs one. I mean, maybe he could have went to somebody in their division. Maybe the Ravens could have said, "Hey, why don't you come here and stay in the division?" But yeah, or you go to the Texans, play with Stroud, maybe. There's plenty of teams out there that maybe I mean, pretty much every team. The Chiefs, there's a lot of teams that could use wide receivers. But the Bengals, this was a priority, and they tag him, and now they got to try to figure out a long-term deal. But again, they're gonna be one of the top teams in the AFC. And they play in a very tough division. That's the other thing, too. The division is tough. But with the healthy Burrow, I mean, they're going to be fine. They will be fine. I know they earlier in the season, when Burrow was not healthy, they lost to the Ravens. I mean, they got swept by the Ravens. But I was curious. We don't know what would have happened if Burrow didn't get hurt, because that game was when he threw the touchdown pass that he got injured on, I mean, I think that put the Bengals ahead. So that game looked like that was going to be back and forth. And then the Ravens kind of ran away with it once Browning got put into the game. So, yeah, it just, I mean, injuries in general this year really hurt the season. So, and again, they're going to continue to be part of the game. I mean, the NFL could do whatever they want, but injuries happen. That's just it's part of the game, unfortunately. And this year, this was one of the worst years when it came to injuries. And especially the quarterbacks. You had Burrow, Rodgers, Kirk Cousins, Anthony Richardson. I mean, there were so many quarterbacks Justin Herbert, so many quarterbacks that got hurt this year. Daniel Jones. I know I just keep naming them, but that's just how many quarterbacks got hurt. So, again, hopefully it doesn't happen next year. We get a healthy Burrow, and let's see, what that division is going to be like. Also, Deshaun Watson as well getting hurt. I mean, the Browns, look at how many quarterbacks they went through this year. That division is going to be very competitive once again. You had 3 of the 4 teams making the playoffs. I mean, with the healthy Burrow, I mean, the Steelers, you got to look at them as, probably ranking them last in terms of the quarterbacks. and we'll see how they address the quarterback position. I know it seems like they're going to stick with Kenny Pickett, but they also want to bring in competition. I mean, I think there's talk that I did talk about this, that they could bring back Mason Rudolph. Yeah, because I talked about there's a QB controversy possibly brewing, because there's some players out there that are advocating for Mason Rudolph to be the starter, and then you also have the Steelers being like, well, Kenny Pickett's our guy right now. And listen, there's free agents out there that they could also target: Ryan Tannehill, Kirk Cousins, obviously. Also, there's Russell Wilson talk possibly, which Russell Wilson, again, we will get into in the final part of the show. But right now, listen, you're competing in a division where you have Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, and if Deshaun Watson can maybe turn back the clock and be the Deshaun Watson that we know he can be, then that's just another, problem for them. So, but we will, again, just have to wait and see. But, with back to the Bengals, though, they're looking to have a bounce back season next year. And listen, if everything goes well, if everybody stays healthy, this team is going to be a force to be reckoned with. And this is the team that I said has the best chance to take down the Chiefs, because they've done it before. Now, again, they did lose in the AFC Championship game the following year to the Chiefs, but that was a very close game as well. Every game that Mahomes and Burrow have played against each other. Now, again, Burrow has won most of those matchups. Mahomes got his first victory against Burrow last year in the AFC Championship game. But, again, we could say, oh, Burrow owns Mahomes. Every game was a 3-point game. It's not like Burrow is, winning by multiple scores. It's a 3-point game every single time, basically. And that's the same thing with Brady and Mahomes. I know they're 3-3 against each other. Yeah, you could just talk about the Super Bowl. The Bucs won that. But again, the other matchups, they were close. They were close. So we can't really say, oh, this guy owns this guy. We can't say Brady. Brady does not own Mahomes. Brady does not own Mahomes. Burrow does not own Mahomes either. And when Burrow did beat Mahomes in the championship game, they ended up losing the Super Bowl to the Rams. And then last year, well, I don't know if should I say last year or 2 years ago now, because now we're kind of moving towards the new season already. So in 2022, when Mahomes finally beat Burrow in the championship game, Mahomes went on to win the Super Bowl. And all the other victories that Burrow has had, those came in the regular season. So, that's just the other thing too. But listen, Joe Burrow is a great quarterback. This is a great rivalry, and it's weird because in the beginning it was like, oh, it's Lamar Jackson and Mahomes. That's going to be the new Manning Brady. Then you had Mahomes and Josh Allen, and then Mahomes and Joe Burrow. It's like all these guys. Is this the new Manning Brady? Is this the new Manning Brady rivalry? It's just, you don't know. But listen, again, when you see all these guys from the past, era retiring, and I've said this before, because again, you didn't know what to expect with all these guys like Breeze and Peyton and Brady, all these guys retiring. We're in good hands. We are, because we have a lot of talent here. Now, again, Mahomes has won a lot of championships, and some of these other guys need to start winning some too. But we're in good hands. We're in good hands with the quarterbacks that we got here. So, but yeah, so that's pretty much it when talking about this. Let me know what you guys think about the Bengals franchise tagging Tee Higgins. Who else do you expect to be franchise tagged? Let me know. So before we go into our next break, just want to remind you guys to tip or donate and get your comments recognized. Make sure to go to the following link. That is streamelements.com/gsmcsportsnetwork./tip. Again, that really helps the show, makes the show more interactive between myself, the host, and you guys, the viewers. Again, that is streamelements.com/gsmcsportsnetwork./tip. And as always, it is displayed on the ticker on the bottom of the show segment down below. So when we come back from our second break of the show, we will talk about some teams that could possibly be aggressive in free agency. So that is what we'll do when we come back from our second break. So, with that being said, stick around and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.